starting lineup of your favorite show. At producer, 5'11" from Blanchester, the Cow Killer, Casey McCollister. And comic engineer, standing at 4'8", the pride of the West Side, Elliot Rearing. And your host, weighing 150 pounds, soaking wet, from Hamilton, Ohio, Ace
Fowler. Welcome into Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. I'm Trace Fowler, joined with the full crew today, and it won't be full much longer. Why? Because it's Lindsay's last day. Lindsay's last day. Now, are you supposed to cheer for that? I don't know if we're supposed to cheer for that. Lindsay,
well,
are we supposed to cheer for that?
She's graduating. We gotta cheer
I guess
for that.
I'm graduating, getting something done.
We're not celebrating that she's
right.
leaving. We're celebrating that she's onward and upward.
That's right.
Yeah.
Have you considered that you're almost done with school forever, considering, I don't know, are you going to do graduate school or anything like that?
No, I don't plan on doing that. But, I mean, I don't think I've let it sit in yet that I'm graduating in like 2 weeks, but it'll hit me, I think, closer to the time. But not yet, because I still have schoolwork to do and stuff like that.
Fair enough. Well, here's the deal. I said yesterday I'm not very good with gifts and those types of things, although I do want to get you something that is of relative means, not just some chintzy little gift that you get on the way into work when you one would argue that you feel like you have to get a gift. So I was thinking of what could we possibly do. We are a sports company. I don't know I know you have a lot of sports fandoms. If there was one sport, though, or one team per se, that you had to maybe go watch a game at, that you would rather go watch them play versus someone else, who would you say that is?
The Pirates, for sure, right?
I mean, yeah, I haven't been to a Pirates game in years. I would love to.
Pirates?
Stadium. Great stadium.
Pirates are very affordable.
Stadium?
I was like, so Penn State, have you been to a Penn State game?
I went to there. I go every year, once at least.
Yeah, you got to go early before they play the real teams.
Have you ever been to a whiteout?
I went to the most recent one, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So you've been to Penn
phenomenal.
State.
Penn State.
You're a Steelers fan, I assume?
I've actually never been to a Steelers game, though.
Not missing much. Not missing much.
You're not wrong, so I really can't, yeah. But, yeah, my whole family's been, but I've never been.
It's like
All
Bed
right.
Bath & Beyond with all those towels they got in there.
Nice.
Nice.
Is that a good joke?
Let's do a
The
slow
terrible
clap for that
towel.
joke.
Did you feel good about that one?
Nah, I felt terrible off the rip.
That's all right. Well, for those that are wondering what's going on in the wide world of sports, the good news is that Elliot will get to the headlines in just a moment. But for today's show, we have some fun things to talk about. Big Blue Nation, I don't know if you know about them. They call themselves that. They're Kentucky Wildcat fans, and they're
hard to
crazy.
miss.
They're crazy. These people are nuts. I'll get into that later in the show. If you've not, you gotta wait. You gotta basically stick around for that segment for all intents and purposes, because there's things that happen that Big Blue Nation are doing right now to try to court a head coach that honestly I think is the opposite. It's scaring them away. If I were him, it would be a little maybe disheartening to know that there are people this crazy that like a basketball team, because at the end of the day, it is just basketball. But for these people, clearly it's not. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
We have the Reds, David Bell, topic number one. We'll get into that just after headlines, MLB power rankings, and some Bengals draft talk, because why not? Why not? We're coming up on the draft. You have a countdown, Casey? You have a countdown clock on that?
I don't have a countdown clock, but it's exactly 2 weeks from today.
Oh!
So, 14 days and counting.
Think we'll take a quarterback?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't think that's high on the
Good
priority
quarterback
list.
draft. You never know. You never know.
Quarterback or punter? First pick.
Best player available.
That's right.
BPA.
Best player available.
So let's go over some headlines. We know what happened yesterday at the Reds, but I'm going to tell it to you anyway. The Brewers beat the Reds 7-2. Hunter Greene, terrible, stunk up the field. 6 innings, 6 hits, 6 earned runs. He did strike out 9. Reds fans were able to get a free pizza slice. I always
was
like
nice.
seeing those
Why
tweets.
do you hate that?
Because it's a joke.
You hate fun.
I do hate fun. You're
hate
right, I do
fun.
hate fun.
They need
Because
a consolation.
when my team's getting obliterated by the Brewers night in and night out, I don't want to see people starting the wave and cheering for a free pizza slice.
Here's the thing, is when you're at the stadium, they're losing. And there's no amount of cheering or being depressed at that field that's going to bring them back. right? There's nothing you can do. So you might as well have fun with the money that you spent, and you get free pizza out of it. Why do you hate pizza? Is that the hill that you want to die on? That you hate pizza?
Elliot, you don't listen to the broadcast, do you? You listen.
Not the TV broadcast.
So.
Because I'll be damned.
I can't remember which
before I
player
watch
it
that.
is, but one of those players, when they're in a slump, they buy themselves a pizza after
Spencer
the game.
Steer
Spencer
gets himself
Steer.
a large pizza.
Really?
Yeah, you didn't listen to the broadcast clearly, but that's yeah.
Try to listen to the radio.
They thought
side more.
it was deemed as hilarious, and maybe it came off the tongue a little bit better from Spencer Steer rather than the folks that were trying to tell the story secondhand. But yeah, Spencer Steer. They ask him what are some things that he does if he were to get into a slump. He says he goes and buys himself a large pizza, and sometimes it doesn't fix the slump, but at least he has a pizza. That was the joke.
All right. Well.
Did you think that was funny?
Yeah.
And that's why.
Yeah, they thought it was hilarious. They thought it was hilarious.
They thought it was great. Farmer and Suter, they came in relief. They did great. 3 combined innings, 3 strikeouts. Whoopee. Ellie had 2 hits. He did have a home run. Shout out to him. Fairchild is hitting 304 and had an RBI rip as well. So shout out to some of these Reds. Some of them are playing.
When Ellie De La Cruz and Stuart Fairchild are playing well, does that make you want to shrivel up? Because you hate those players. You hate those 2 guys.
I do not hate any of those 2 guys.
Yes.
You can somewhat make the argument for Stewart, but I do not hate anybody. I do not hate anybody. I will say Ellie was probably given a little bit of a break taking Wade Miley out that early in the game. Am I allowed to say that or no? Or is that going to be frowned upon?
No, I think it's a fair statement. I was actually curious as to why they did that myself, but at the
was
same
coming
time, I don't know. Maybe they're worried about pitch counts. They're focused on maybe towards the end of the season, and they found a way to win regardless. So I guess they're the ones that get the last laugh.
I guess so. That's all that from that game I took away from it. Hunter Greene, again, I'm not going to say he's unlucky, but it does seem like something goes wrong in like one of his starts. That's not his fault. Today or yesterday, last night, rain delay.
Yeah.
It just happens with Hunter Greene. I don't understand it. I think he's good, but at the same time, we have this debate and when we have these games, seemingly like not every other one, but like maybe every other 2, where he just is gone. He's just not there and from the very beginning. But that's okay. Hunter Greene is very young. Around the league, the Rangers, they beat the Athletics 6-2. Royals win the series against the Astros 11-2, domination. The Orioles win 7-5 over the Red Sox, but the story obviously was not the game, it was Jackson Holliday. The top prospect had his major league debut yesterday. He did not get a hit. He went 0 for 4. And I found some of this story interesting. I saw a tweet yesterday. So Tony Kemp, former Red.
Yes.
Some reporters in the city believe that Tony Kemp should be on the starting major league roster for the Reds.
Some
but
did. Yep.
David Bell and Dick Krall decided otherwise. He was actually released for Jackson Holliday. Maybe cut. I don't know what the term was. He was eliminated from the Orioles to make room for Jackson Holliday.
Yes.
He tweeted out this story yesterday. I thought this was pretty cool. In the fall of 2010, our college had a series against the Longhorns for a 3-game set. Our hitting coach at the time was Josh Holliday, and his brother Matt brought his kid to our early practice. I remember watching his son with that sweet lefty swing. Go get him, kid. And that just shows class. I mean, that's just a classy tweet by Tony Kemp. Moving on. Yankees, they fall to the Marlins 5-2. They still win the series. Padres, they destroyed the Cubs. Destroyed them.
Oh, yeah, Kyle Hendricks. Might not have much left in the tank.
I like Kyle Hendricks. He's Meatball Kyle. I call him Meatball Kyle. Throws 87 right down the heart of the plate.
Hey.
He's gonna let you beat him. That's for sure.
Hey, ERA champ back in 10 years ago.
There we go. Go Kyle, go. It was Dylan Cease Day, by the way. Reed informed me that Dylan Cease was in fact a Cub who did not play for the Cubs. That is true. The Rays, they beat the Angels 4-2. Cardinals, they help us out. Dropped one to the Phillies 4-3. And the Twins beat the Los Angeles Dodgers 3-2. NBA news. The Nuggets have seized sole possession of first place in the Western Conference after they beat the Timberwolves 116-107. Nikola Jokic dropped 41 points in the win. There's only 3 games left in the regular season in the NBA. Just 3.
The Western Conference Finals, I know we're not big NBA people here, but the Western Conference playoffs could be a lot of fun. They could be a lot of fun.
And they will start next week, so I'll see you all there. Giannis, he's going to miss the final 3 games of the regular season. They're hoping to get him back in the postseason. But They still managed to beat the Magic yesterday, 117-299. Masters, any golf fans out there? The first round was delayed to 10:30
That's right.
So in about 20 minutes or so, you will see the Masters. The starter ceremony begins in about, I think right now, 10:10. Yep, right now. Tiger Woods, Jason Day, Max Homa will be teed off at 3:54 p.m. Those are your headlines in sports.
That's very nice of you to do the headlines in sports because this is a very serious sports talk show. One in which I really wanted to get to the bottom of something here right before we go to break on 1410 Wing AM. For those that are keeping track, that are doing the math there on Elliot's time frame of when the Masters started, if you're listening to the radio, it started maybe like an hour or two ago. I'm not going to do the math off the top of my head, but I just don't want anybody to get confused. Here's the thing. There's some breaking news here on the X.com app. I just want you to I want you to get a very clear statement.
Can we get the sounder first?
Go ahead.
Breaking news.
From a guy named Joe. Won't give out his full identity. He says they're not our rivals per se. I think he's talking about us, Chatterbox. He says I'm gonna censor. I'm gonna censor this one out because at the same time I really don't want this to be a part of it. But he said, but the not a nice word one. I think he's referencing the one that used to work at the radio station. He says he don't think I could say this word on the radio. He blanked over a few friends of mine when he left that place. Did you leave on bad terms? Some are saying, did you?
What are we talking about?
I'm just saying, there's a guy named Joe on the internet slandering you right as we speak. Now you can't
screwed over people.
Here's the thing, Elliot.
Where's the tweet?
No, we're not doing this on the show, and we're not going to get derailed off this show.
You just derailed the whole thing.
No,
Where's the tweet?
Nope, you're going to keep being a professional here.
No, I'm not professional now. I'm not professional. You've ruined the whole thing.
He's done being professional. He's
What's
amateur.
the ad?
He's amateur.
I can't give you the ad. I just know they said that they effed up a few friends. Perhaps, maybe, as you scroll back down, perhaps that's where I'm going to link this all together.
Did he screw over friends?
It looks as if now it's changed from the radio station. Perhaps now they're naming guys. You might be off the hook. Now it's Kirby. So we shall find out.
So it's not me?
I don't think it's you, but I think it is Kirby.
I don't even see it.
There are people that are suggesting that Kirby was not nice to his friends, and he left and he went over to Chatterbox Sports now. So now we get the hate for it. It is nice to know that people hate us. I walk in the studio today.
I don't like being hated. I don't like it.
That's the thing. I walk in the studio today, and you are beside yourself that some people have said some nasty things about you or us at Chatterbox, saying we're Barstool wannabes, which is funny. I mean, actually, of all the things, like, we actually think
a little
that seems... all right. Yeah, you got it. I mean, if I can sell my company for 1/10 of what Dave Portnoy sold Barstool for, then you know what? I'll be living high. I'll be feeling great. As far as trying to be like Barstool completely, we probably have a long way to go to doing some of the things that they've done in their past that we won't do. So, I don't know. But I will say this. We do our best to try to entertain people on a daily basis about sports talk in the Cincinnati, Miami Valley areas, which happens to be why, I don't know, we're doing semi-all right. But you need to get over the hater thing. Why do you always worry about it?
Because here's the thing. I want to be loved. I don't have to be loved. I don't need to be loved, but I like to be loved. And if all these haters come at me, I can't be loved. So I have to defend myself. So that's what I do. I get on X.com and I defend myself.
So at first, I was scrolling through this. They're all over the place. At first, it was a radio station, and then it looks like it turns out to be Kirby. So I don't know if Kirby at one point, maybe I'm trying to do this all on the fly, but hey. Maybe it was because there were people that were mad at you already today, so then that's how it became a thing.
I don't know how anybody's mad at me. All I do is sit and I troll. That's it. I'm like Reed.
Under the bridge.
What do I troll? What? I feel like I'm a very serious person. Why am I getting shade?
You are a very serious person.
Thank you.
And speaking of very serious, we have a very serious break to take right about now.
That we do, and we will talk about David Bell right after this on 1410 Wing AM. All right, welcome back into the best sports talk. The best sports talk.
Serious sports
I think there's
talk.
asterisks on that possibly in the Miami Valley. Your home for nothing but beautiful takes by Chatterbox Sports on 1410 Wing AM. And again, as a reminder, this is Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Unfortunately, this week, we did not have Marty and Tom. I think that was largely because of the logistics that have been going on with Prasco Park. But next week, I look forward to maybe getting their opinion on this very subject, perhaps. And that is, what is a manager's responsibility? What are they? What is it that you could say, you know what, that falls on them? And what ultimately ends up happening with managers, I feel like, is it's very similar to maybe some very, very, very high-level positions, perhaps in corporate America, where everyone's going to blame the CEO, when in reality, maybe it's not the CEO that ultimately made the specific mistake. But how does the saying always go? If you're at the top, ultimately it winds up to being your problem. And the truth is that David Bell is the manager of this baseball team. Did he make the third out at third base yesterday in a 5-run game with 2 runners on, with Ellie De La Cruz coming to the plate? No. That would be the not sweet swinging Jamier Candelario. Did he yesterday forget to back up home plate after a base hit and Spencer Steer decided to not hit the cutoff man and launch the ball just, 15 feet to the right of home plate, and Luke Maley wasn't capable enough of getting in front of it, so then it gets by him, and then Hunter Greene's kind of standing out in the middle of no man's land? Did he do all that? No, he didn't. But he is the manager of this team. So you're going to point to somebody and saying, that's X's fault. At this point, it feels as if you can make the strong case, you can make a strong argument that none of this is David Bell's fault. You could make the argument that really managers in Major League Baseball, for the most part, don't make a huge difference. And I guess at this point, do we believe that? Are they just sheerly camaraderie guys in a clubhouse? Are they just ego managers? Are they more or less just housekeeping the clubhouse? Or do they actually make decisions in baseball games that we think genuinely matter? Do they set a standard? Or are these guys old enough now to where you become a professional baseball player for so long that they're not going to listen to a manager regardless? I think all of those things are fair. Where do we stand?
Here's what I'm going to do. Because I was getting a lot of texts last night from a lot of my friends who are Reds fans, and they all say the same thing every night. Fire David Bell, fire David Bell. Everything's David Bell's fault. David Bell does exactly what every other manager in baseball does. The only difference is that sometimes David Bell loses more than those other managers. He's on losing teams. David Bell does not construct the roster. He assigns the roster the way it was given to him. Every move he makes is based on analytics. People want Spencer Steer moved up. Spencer Steer hits the most effectively in the 7th spot in the lineup. People are like, moving up to 2. He hits the best at the 7th spot. We've moved him up to 2. He doesn't hit well there. People are saying, why don't you pull Hunter Greene early? Because we can't decimate our bullpen in a 7-2 game. We gotta try to win games that we can win here. Some of them are just not going to go our way. That's baseball. It's 162. It's not David Bell's fault. David Bell isn't responsible for having to play all these right-handed batters, whatever you want to say, against a lefty. That's who we're given. Jake Fraley hits like 100 against lefties. Nick Martini, I don't know if he's ever had a hit against a lefty. And I get the sentiment where it's like, play your best guys no matter what. And I'm on that side a lot of the time. But at the end of the day, you have to look a little bit at the numbers. A little bit. I'm not saying every decision has to be made based on numbers, even though it is in Major League Baseball, in every single organization, maybe except for the Athletics. God knows what they do over there. But everybody's using the same thing. Everybody's using the numbers. I'm tired of the David Bell slander because it's not David Bell's fault. Is David Bell responsible for CES and Jamier Candelario not hitting a baseball? Is that his fault that they can't play? It's not his fault. I don't want to be the David Bell defender here, but at the end of the day, David Bell's job in large part has to do with the relationship he has with the guys in the clubhouse, which brings back to Trace's point. Maybe he's an ego guy, maybe he's a friend.
But don't you see a problem with being a friend?
Sure, I do.
Don't you think that there's some merit to the idea that, hey, how long are you going to let a guy like CES, who quite frankly hasn't proven over the course of his young career that he's capable of hitting in a 3-hole, and then you're going to have the other side of the aisle that's going to come at you and say that no matter where you hit, it doesn't matter. And I think that fundamentally we'll just agree to disagree in small sample sizes of that. I'm not suggesting that who hits 7th versus 8th is a big deal. Who hits 6th versus 9th is a big deal. I do think if you are in the top 3 of the lineup, it matters. It feels like it matters. So ultimately, the only question I would have is, don't you think there's some semblance of blame here that he's still letting CES hit in the 3-hole and Jamir hit in the 4-hole when it's been this bad for this long?
What are our options? Tyler Stevenson or Maley being brought up there?
I mean, some would argue. Listen, Spencer Steer has been very good in the 7-hole, so then you're going to argue you don't want to move.
Correct. That is a good argument. Why would you want to fix something that isn't broke? He hits great down there. He likes it.
Because you want to fix something that is broke would be the argument.
Okay, so my argument would be, if CES is truly playing that bad, let's get somebody who can play first base at a high major league level right now. And you can do that if you want. But the issue is, if you do that, you're going to get hate on that side too. So it's a lose-lose for David Bell. Anything he does, the fan base will kill and will destroy. That's fine. That's some of the risk and some of the reward for being a manager. You get all the hate when you lose for no reason. A manager can't be responsible for his players playing good. Eventually, a player just has to play good. That's part of the job.
Why is a coach not responsible for the play of his team? Isn't that the whole job? Isn't that the whole job?
He's supposed to get out there and make CES hit 300?
No, but like that's part of your responsibility when you take the role, is when, hey, I get credit when they play well, and I don't, and I get hate when they don't play well. That's the job. That's the contract. That's what you're doing.
And I'd argue that every player that's on the roster is not David Bell's player. It's a player that Nick Krall has brought up here, whether or not you like it or not, and for the most part, I like it. But I'm just saying that's how it is. No player in the world can listen to one thing by David Bell like, oh yeah, now I got it. Clicked. Tonight's going to be great now. Like, that's just not how it works. At some point, you have to be good if you're a player. You have to just play good. You can't make routine errors on a nightly basis. David Bell can't fix that. Can David Bell fix the errors that this team's making? What about the base running blunder? Where we got a guy just running past second base for no reason.
I think that there's some merit, though. There is some semblance of merit to the idea that you create an identity and a culture within a clubhouse of expectations.
Correct.
of what your players should desire to want to be. And I'm not suggesting that he doesn't do that, because there are times where coaches that do demand those things still have guys that make mistakes because they're human, still have games in which ultimately at the end of the day they're not proud about. But it is somewhat of the organization's top level guys, whether it be the general manager, whether it be the manager, of what the expectation level is. If you're not going to do the fundamentals right, then there are consequences. And there's really not consequences all that often when it comes to David Bell, because he's playing the side of psychologist. He's playing the side of, hey, I want to keep these guys in a positive mindset. I want to keep them in a joyful spirit, and I want them to feel like they're comfortable to play this game at the highest level that they can play it at. And the question that's always asked is, where is that line? Because it's a fine line between being so overly demanding. You're right. You see that at the youth levels, especially when you have overly critical parents or you have overly critical coaches, that then the kids start to play scared. The question is that if you do demand these things out of these young players, would they end up ultimately shying away and not playing as well because you've been critical of them? And maybe he is. This is the part where you have to be very fair to David Bell. He could be extremely critical of these guys. He could be very, very hard-nosed behind closed doors, and he's always been a private guy. He doesn't do anything in public. The only thing that he ever does in public, quite frankly, is argue with umpires. Outside of that, he's never shown up a teammate. He's never taken a guy out because he's made a mistake. And again, I point back to the tweet that I made a few weeks ago that obviously drew a significant amount of people that weren't very happy with what I said. It's like, if Ellie De La Cruz is going to make an error, in the very next inning, he has the audacity, the courage, the mindset. Maybe it's a bad baseball IQ. Maybe I'll give him credit for being instead of being what would be the right term be negligent, he's just ignorant. Maybe he's just ignorant. But the idea of trying to flip a baseball damn near behind your back, the inning after you just made a critical error in a big spot is crazy. It's genuinely crazy. Like, if that's not how I grew up. And maybe it's not the way I grew up was the best way. But I know this, if I made an error, in my mind, I'm locked in. Like, in my mind, I can't make another error. I make another error, there's a chance that, hell, I won't even play again. And I think that there's a little bit of good fundamental practice in that too. Being scared a little bit of having a slight fear of making sure that if you don't do your job well, you're not going to keep your job. There's some semblance of good in that. But like anything else, if you have a plethora of something, sometimes that becomes not good, as we all know, right? We having things in small doses more times than not won't hurt you, but if you have things in abundance, it can hurt you. And I just wonder where that line in the sand is right now with this ball club, because it does seem like over the past week and a half, this team does not do the fundamentals very well.
They do terribly.
They don't make plays that you should make routinely. And maybe it's just it's 11-game glimpse into a 162-game season, and maybe we just have been unlucky that when we've been locked in for this first 2 weeks of the season, that this is just when they've shown that. Or it's somewhat of a sign of a trend. That's a problem. Who it all falls on, I don't know. But I think that's all of those areas that I just ran through, I think are all very fair. I don't know where you go.
Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead,
quick little game.
please.
So the biggest debate right now is CES and Candelaria. They're hitting 3-4. Who we have and take their place? Because here are your options. You ready?
Please.
Luke Maley, he's hitting 118. Will Benson, he's hitting 209, and this is a lefty on lefty. You have Espinal, he's hitting 111. Other than that, you can move Fairchild up to 3, and you can move Ellie up to 4. So is that what you just 2 spots? That's what we're calling for David Bell's head for? 2 spots? Fairchild and Ellie?
I'm not sitting here arguing the lineup as much as I am of what the semblance of responsibility is when you're out there and whether or not there's repercussions.
Okay, let me ask you again. I was very critical of Ellie with all these errors, yeah? And I believe some of us were saying to bench Ellie after he had that 3-error game, correct?
Correct.
David Bell does that, he's getting killed for it. He gets killed for it.
I'm not suggesting they benched Ellie for the game after. I'm
Correct.
saying
that for that game. Correct.
Yeah, it was 2 innings of baseball when the game was already out of hand. It was more of sending a message of, hey, we're going to play the game the right way.
How can David Bell discipline this team without the entire world just raining down on him? Because you've seen people try to say critical things about the Reds on Twitter. It doesn't go well.
Well, is his job to get his team in the best position to win, or is his job to win over X.com fanboys that have meaningless discussions on X.com like we do every night?
Correct.
I'll include myself in that group.
Correct, but we're the ones talking about it. So we're the ones criticizing him. I don't think it's David Bell's responsibility to teach Ellie and Jonathan India how to catch a baseball. That can't be on his things-to-do list. Hey, guys, let's go over 3 hours today of we're going to just throw over from the mound to second base. Whoever catches a ball last loses, or misses the ball first loses. It doesn't make you can't teach that. Some of these things are ingrained in you as a baseball player, as an athlete. David Bell cannot be responsible for some of this. And sure, if you want to say that wins and losses fall on the manager, that's fine. If they have another bad season this year, he's probably going to get fired. That's how it works. So he will take the responsibility when it matters. But I'm saying there's no way to appease everybody here. You can't. You can discipline these guys the way that you're saying he's going to get killed. He can let them keep playing the way they're playing. He's going to get killed. He played what's his name? Carson Spires for 80 pitches in 4 innings. Because he can't kill the bullpen for the next day. The next day, what happens? 7-2. Hunter Greene gives up 6 earned runs. So thank God. So I don't know what people want from David Bell. Does the responsibility fall on his shoulders? Yes. Can David Bell teach these guys how to field routine ground balls? No. Pop-ups? No. He can't make CES hit better than 110. Espinal hit the ball out of the infield. That's what I want. I want accountability from the players as well as David Bell.
Well, a lot of your frustration that you're venting right now falls on one of two things. One, either just incredibly bad luck, which they have had, but also you could make the argument that they've just not had. Everybody wanted to claim depth. Look how deep this team is. Look how deep this organization is. Look how deep the farm system is. And now you find yourself in a position where all of those backups that you just listed, none of them you're comfortable with. By the way, Luke Maile, I feel pretty decent about Luke Maile. I get what you're going to say.
He's hitting 100.
Okay, how many at-bats does he have, Elliot?
I don't know. How many at-bats does any of them have? We're 12 games into a season.
Brother, I mean, you can't sit here. Yeah, we're 12 games into a season, and Luke Maile's probably played 3 games. What's he played, 4 games?
Luke Maile has 17 at-bats.
Yeah, we're talking about 17 at-bats.
Second fewest on the team.
So he has how many hits? 2? 2 hits, 17 at-bats. If he squeaks out 2 more hits, then we're having a relatively semi-reasonable conversation that he's not the world's worst player. So, I mean, I understand your point, and we're on the same page here. I'm just saying that I also think that there is some fundamental truth and some fundamental idea that the people that are screaming about accountability are not crazy. They're not crazy. What would a player have to do to receive, and again, to be fair to David Bell, this stuff may happen behind closed doors, and it probably does. It probably does. But I just wonder, what would it require for these guys to continue to not be able to do before you place the blame on the fact that it's an organizational issue if the fundamentals continue to be overlooked?
I agree. I agree with it's an organizational issue. The fact that our guys can't make routine plays sucks. But I have a hard time believing that's on David Bell. And that's where we'll disagree.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but he also is in charge of development of players.
Well, not totally.
I mean,
not really.
I would say not at all.
But he is, though, because
I would say not at all.
Because now he's forcing these guys to play during the season when they're obviously not ready to make routine plays. I think that's malpractice then. I mean, Marty said it himself. You don't learn in the bigs. You got to figure this shit out. Bleep.
Oh, my
Figure that
goodness,
out.
guys.
You got to figure that
wrong
out
with you?
when you're in AAA, AA, single A.
Yeah, some of the mistakes the Reds make should be figured out in 5th grade, but I won't say anything like that because I'll get killed. But that's it. Time for a break.
Is that what time it is?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to try to do our best to not do any FCC violations for the rest of the time here on Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Your home for the best sports talk on 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back right after this.
Let's get into some super chats real quick,
Real
guys.
quick.
Yeah, we got a couple big super chats. First one comes from Big C. A message directly for Elliot. $20 super chat. Thank you, Big C. Elliot, even with the following I have on Facebook, I get pretty hateful messages from time to time, and I cannot stop them. Some people are just not nice and will do everything to bring you down. Y'all are doing great, onward and upward, and that is absolutely correct. It doesn't matter how phenomenal of content you're putting out there, there will be people that hate it. People hate Taylor Swift for forever, and she's a fantastic artist. Elliot has been doing funny things and great content for forever, and people are still going to hate him a little bit.
right.
And that's okay. You don't have to have everyone love you.
That's right. You don't have to have everyone love you, Elliot.
You're right.
You don't. Imagine, I want you to close your eyes. You know how you do the whole trophy thing?
Sure.
I want you to close your eyes and imagine the fact that Taylor Swift has people that actually can't stand her. And then I want you to think about how could you ever get to a point where you would get to where people would all love you and not hate you if Taylor Swift has haters.
Yeah, go Taylor Swift, go. Good for her.
I'm just saying it's a tough spot to be.
If I can have Taylor Swift success, sure, I'll take a couple haters.
Some would say you are.
Yeah, I drive a 2003 Chevy Impala. I try to limit my hate. Maybe if I get a milli in the bank, we can start talking about hate. But other than that, next super chat.
Chi-Town, $2 said, I wish I was popular enough to have haters. Chi-Town, no one could hate you. No one could hate you. Thanks for the super chat.
We have one more super chat, but I think that would be a fun discussion on
it. It would be a fun discussion as we get back into the radio. Andrew Seller? Andrew, $20
Siler?
super chat. Would you rather have 2022 Mike Moustakis, the new guy in town, or 2024 Jameer Candelario? Who would you guys rather have?
Candelario for me. I mean, it's only been 11 games. I think that I don't want to say overreacting because it's been disappointing, certainly. And then you add in the spring. This is where the spring training thing actually does matter a little bit, right? If Jameer hit the ball relatively well in the spring, I think that he gets a lot more what we would call leeway here in the short term of the regular season that we've seen. It's just the fact that he struggled in the spring and now he struggled in the regular season. He struggled last season with the Cubs to end the year.
He did.
I don't know. I mean, at some point, when you put that math equation together, you're going to get people that are going to quote unquote overreact.
Jameer's been a career hitter. He's a very good hitter. Water will find its level. But we have breaking news.
Well, can we do that? Can we do it on air? Can we do it on air?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll bring
5
it back
seconds
in.
and then.
Okay. All right, welcome back in to 1410 Wing AM. This is Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. I am Trace Fowler, and I have been told during the break that we have breaking news. Is this true?
Yes, according to Twitter, according to his actual personal Twitter account.
Yes.
Orenthal James Simpson, O.J. Simpson.
Yes.
Has passed away.
Wow.
From cancer.
Wow.
I didn't know he was sick. Genuinely did not know he was sick.
Who knew that? I did not know that. Listen, yeah, I mean, a very controversial figure, as we all know. Yeah, I mean, didn't know that was coming. That kind of threw me off the loop here. I don't really have much to add outside the fact that everybody knows his situation. He became very public. It was a very unique arc that was O.J. Simpson for me in my life. I obviously didn't get a chance to see him play ever at all, so I didn't get to see.
I wasn't alive for the court either.
Yeah,
I wasn't alive for that.
I was alive for the court. I remember my late grandmother would just decide that she was going to watch this on live TV every day. Now, I don't know if my memory serves me correct, but it's kind of wild to think back in the day they were just live broadcasting these court matters to the public, and it certainly was controversial. There's no doubt about it, and I think that it's kind of sad that I guess we're still fighting the same fights, I guess, that people were upset about back then today.
Isn't it crazy that the O.J. Simpson case and the ripples that it still has to today? Because the O.J. Simpson case is the reason that the Kardashians are famous.
Oh yeah,
which is just wild. The trickle down of it's the butterfly effect, right? I mean that huge court case made a very famous man, Robert Kardashian, and now some of the most famous people in the world, all because of that court case. It's wild. Wow.
Correct. Yeah, something about the human brain and something about us in our just, I guess, I want to say our DNA. Now, I don't know if that's the right term to use, but in our DNA, for some reason, true crime is something that many people enjoy. That's a fact. Like, that's not me. That's not me trying to say that you should like it or anything like that. But if you go to podcasts, you look up the top movies of all time, true crime is 100% a very, very enjoyable is not the right word, but it's certainly something that it seems like that's what the vast majority of the public finds as entertainment. And that's sad, but that's the truth. It led all the way to the fact that the craziest part of it obviously was the verdict, but then on top of that, you get to where OJ went silent for a while, and then now all of a sudden, randomly, he becomes like this internet personality again.
Oh, he was in jail for a while.
What's that?
He was in jail for a while, right?
Correct, but I'm saying once he got out, he decided to become like this. You know, most people you would think they would just kind of like just go away.
I like how he was giving his advice, and like it's like, with all due respect, OJ, you rushed for 2,000 yards. I don't want your advice. Like you don't need to be giving your advice to other celebrities.
Yeah. Tough for OJ.
But yeah, OJ's finding probably some fate right now. You'd like to think, but we shall find out at a later date ourselves, I guess.
Yeah, I guess we will.
But how are we supposed to segue from that back into sports because I didn't want to do it, but I almost thought about doing something really funny.
I've got a funny one too, but
which is gonna segue right into the final discussions with David Bell and the MLB Power Rankings. But I'm just gonna let you take it away.
Speaking of things that happened, listen. I'm gonna end my David Bell thing on this. My David Bell rant. David Bell, should take accountability, has responsibility to put this team in a position to win, 100%. But at the end of the day, Casey mentioned he's in charge of the development. He is not. He is not in charge of the development. There are 3 leagues of development coaches underneath him. Those guys are responsible for the development. The grade school coaches of these players are responsible for the development all the way back to when they were babies. So
Ellie's still a baby.
Ellie's still a baby. David Bell, again, not responsible for these. He's not. He's responsible for a lot. If they win 20 games this year, fire David Bell. Fire him into the sun.
It's coming off like you think that managers don't matter. Do you think managers matter?
I think pretty much every move David Bell makes is based on statistics and analytics. Yes. I think Skip Schumacher is probably not the world's best manager, but I think he's got a hell of a lot of numbers to back him up in every single decision he makes. He's got a lot of people to help him with those decisions as well.
So I'm confused. Are you saying they don't matter because
they do matter?
They don't matter or they do matter? Because it sounds like you said yes, they do matter, and then you just stated as to why they don't matter because
no, I didn't say,
anybody can read a spreadsheet.
Do you think they matter or not?
I'm saying no. In the large scheme of things, I have a hard time believing
we could take someone else and put them in David Bell's
That's what
role,
I'm saying. Correct.
Which you could argue then why not do that? But if managers don't matter, then how can you explain someone like Bruce Bochy?
Yeah.
Bruce Bochy takes over this Rangers team, and they had a good roster, right?
I would say it was a damn good roster.
Okay. They come in, they won 60 games the year before, he wins the World Series in his first year. Okay, you could say it's a good roster. Well, why haven't the Giants been good since he's been gone? They've had 1 winning season since Bruce Bochy's been gone. Since Bruce Bochy left the Padres, they've had 3 winning seasons, and they had a lot of success when Bruce Bochy was there. So, how can you explain?
Sure, there are exceptions to every rule. There are exceptions to every rule. But are you guys going to look at me and tell me who's the manager of the Athletics? Who's that guy? You think Mark Kotsay, the manager of the Athletics?
Great pinch hitter.
What was that?
Mark Kotsay, great pinch hitter.
How much responsibility of this Athletics team's on him?
Well,
Be honest. How much? They're going to win 35 games this year. How many of those losses are on Mark Kotsay? Probably 0.
Correct.
Probably 0 of them.
But I do think that if you're a cook in the kitchen and you have 0 ingredients, we could all agree that maybe you're not probably going to be able to cook a good meal. But if I bring the same ingredients to 2 different cooks and one cook can do a much better job and make it taste a lot better, then I think it's fair to say that one cook is the significantly better person for the job. That's what we're arguing.
Bravo
analogy. If you give one person like David Bell the same players as another manager, would they do the same exact thing? And I think we could all agree, or I hope we would agree, the answer is without question no. Without question no. It 100% matters what manager you have. Now, how big of a grand scheme does it matter in regards to wins and losses? We could debate that until, the next solar eclipse. But the thing is that where David Bell has never really been given a fair chance. This is probably the first year where you could start to say, yeah, this is the first real fair chance. And I wouldn't even give him I wouldn't say, oh my gosh, if he misses the playoffs, forget it. Of course, we're not there yet. But I'm going back and I'm hearkening back to if this continues throughout the rest of the regular season, to where you have guys missing cutoff men, you have guys overrunning bases, you have guys deciding with, again, no disrespect, but they're just not going to back up plays. At some point, that falls, in my opinion, right at the feet of the manager. I'm going to give him some time. It's only been 10 games. But to sit here and act like that couldn't possibly be a manager issue, I think at some point it's fair to say that it is. We got a super chat. Chase says, "Rip OJ. Chatterbox haters on X have me fired up." We always have haters. I don't understand why. Sometimes I do question if we're doing things inappropriately or if we're saying crazy things. I don't even think that we come out and do the whole let's be Skip Bayless and say stuff absolutely ridiculous on purpose. We've never really done that. But I'll tell you what I've come to realize more times than not about people that are haters online. It's very clear. It's a very distinct look. It's jealousy is like a stinky cologne. That's what this is most of the time. It's just for whatever reason it didn't work out for them the way that maybe it's worked out for us a little bit, and they're upset about it. And I would argue, hey, the beautiful thing about this country is that it is free. And my favorite thing is that I came, for all intents and purposes, nobody that started this company, nobody that works in here has come from money. Nobody's ever, that we've all had to make sacrifices. And you can do the same thing if you want to start the same thing. And I'll root for you. I'll give you tips. If I have time in the day outside of what I already do, I'll try to help you out. Start with getting better cameras. That'd be my first advice. Make sure your microphones, aren't snow globes. All right, MLB Power Rankings.
Yeah.
I don't know if I care about this. I know it's a segment. I know maybe I'm supposed to have a hot take. I could genuinely care less about what ESPN says about my baseball team in the MLB Power Rankings. Did you see the Power Rankings today, Elliot? And if you did it offend you in any manner?
I have not seen them yet. This is I guess I have seen them a little bit. I've seen where the Reds are at. Okay. I haven't seen the rest, so we'll go over it right now.
Please.
Would you like to guess who's in first? I'll give you a hint. They're 10
I'm going
and
to
5.
say that they're going to say the Dodgers just based off the fact that the Dodgers.
You'd be correct.
All
Atlanta
right.
Braves are in second. The New York Yankees are in third. They're
Yankees
10
are
and
playing
3.
well.
The Baltimore Orioles, they're in fourth with a 7-4 record. The Texas Rangers in fifth, 7-5. The Phillies and Astros are 6 and 7. Astros are 4 and 9, but
Who's
they
eight?
still have the seventh or ranked 7th in the power rankings.
Who's 8?
The Chicago Cubs are 7 and 5. They are ranked 8th in the power rankings.
Dang
9th,
right.
the Boston Red Sox. They are 7 and 5. The Guardians. A lot of people are quitting on the Guardians. They're 10 and 3 or 9 and 3. Excuse me. They're 10th in the power rankings. Brewers are sitting at 11th. Pirates are sitting at 12th. The Tampa Bay Rays, formerly the Devil Rays, are 7 and 6. They're in the 13th spot. Diamondbacks 6 and 7. They're 14. Blue Jays 6 and 7. They're 15. Padres and Tigers, again, they are 16, 17, and the Reds, number 18.
Cardinals 23rd.
The Cardinals.
I am finally thankful that I feel like maybe big media and perhaps, I don't know if the sports books have done it yet, they're coming around on this Cardinals team. We're finally getting to the point where I've
they're
used
not
the
playing
analogy of the Patriots before. We're starting to get to the point where maybe we finally believe that maybe they're just not good. I don't know. Are you there yet, Reed?
Listen, it's no secret they're having trouble scoring runs. They've scored the least amount of runs in the National League Central, only 50. They're actually allowed. Their pitching's been pretty good. It's no secret that guys like Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado have to play very well for them to have any success whatsoever. And that's just not happening right now. I'm not going to count out 2 future Hall of Famers. I'm not going to count that out. But, yeah, they need them to play well for them to have any sort of success. If they don't play well, then, yeah, the Cardinals aren't a very good team. But my Cubbies, 8th. They're playing good. They're playing well. They lost last night. Got bludgeoned. But feels like the Reds at 18 fits.
That's right. That's fair.
I totally agree. I think that, based off the things that have already happened to this club, which is the 3 injuries and / suspension, this team's fighting for their life to find their identity, and they need some guys to step up that have not stepped up yet for them to be good. Let's face it. Ellie De La Cruz has been exceptional this past week, and again, if that's more of the norm versus the exception, then I think that this team has the capabilities of getting to the postseason. You add in the fact that we all know that CES and Jamier Candelario have to be somewhat more competent than what they've been, and hopefully they are. And if they are, then this team has a chance. If they're not, they don't have a chance. You get into starting pitching. I'm not going to make an overreaction in regards to Hunter Greene. I know that many people are frustrated with Hunter Greene. And you know what it is with overreactions more times than not? It's the hype that they come with. It's the hype they come with. Ellie De La Cruz is a lightning rod largely because he came up here in the manner in which he did. He was the number 1 Reds prospect, number 1 prospect in baseball. Of course, if he struggles from time to time, people are going to have expectations in their mind that he should be better, and maybe he shouldn't be. It's no fault to his own that he came up with those expectations. Jackson Holliday, he just made his MLB debut that you just mentioned.
Yep.
Let me tell you, if Jackson Holliday for the next week and a half just doesn't play that well, there's going to be people in Baltimore that are like, hey, this is a playoff team. This is a World Series team. We don't need that. Just send him out of here. That's a fact. Whether that's true or not, that's not the point. But that's the way that the fan base is going to react. The opposite side of that, is that you are a superstar in your own city if you do play semi-well. right?
Correct.
Stuart Fairchild and Ellie De La Cruz, I looked, they have very similar, I think that their WAR is very, very close this year, right? There are some statistical natures, and I'm not comparing the two and saying that one's better than the other. What I am saying is that Stuart Fairchild's production this year is very similar to Ellie De La Cruz's. Yet, Ellie De La Cruz is going to be the one at Jeff Ruby's that has the stakes named after him. And Stuart Fairchild probably will never have anything named after him in Cincinnati. And that's okay. But that's the feast and famine that you deal with when it comes to stardom in all of sports, quite frankly. Joe Burrow, another perfect example. Let's be honest. If Joe Burrow doesn't play exceptionally well, there are going to be people in this city that tear him down regardless. If he plays great, then there will be statues built after the man. That's the fine line between being loved and hated. So, when we come back, speaking of being loved and hated, I'll tell you right now, Scott Drew is on that very fine line right now with the University of Kentucky and their crazy fans. I don't know if you've seen it. If you didn't, you better stick around for this next segment. Right after this on 1410 Wing AM. All right, welcome back into Masters Week. We'll get into that later in the show. It is Masters Week. I had teased right before we had went to break that Big Blue Nation, I'm talking about the fans of the Kentucky Wildcats and more specifically the basketball fans of the University of Kentucky Wildcats, are absolutely nuts. They are borderline crazy. Don't know if you've been on the internet as of late, but there was a phone call made yesterday. Now, I had asked you guys are usually on this. You're with it. You've seen all the things that are going on the internet. I looked at you this morning, Elliot, and I said, have you seen this? And you said you genuinely, the answer is no. You've not seen this.
I've not.
All right, so I will prelude kind of this phone call here that you're about to listen to or the story of the phone call. So yesterday there was a photo posted by Scott Drew, the head coach of the University of Baylor Bears program. And it was a picture of him with what looked like a friend or a colleague that was sitting, across the table with each other at a Mexican restaurant, what appeared to be in Waco or somewhere, obviously, perhaps in Texas. And ultimately, it was kind of a subtle, what seemed like a subliminal X.com post about, hey, I'm happy where I'm at, I'm staying at Baylor, whatever it may be. After he made that post, all of UK Nation went into full force investigative journalism trying to figure out, one, where this was. Two, what was on the TV behind him to try to figure out if that photo was actually taken in real time. There was a thread of the University of Kentucky fans that actually pulled the Family Feud feed. They then looked up the TV guide to figure out when that Family Feud aired on that actual station in Waco, and they deemed that it wasn't actually taken in the time and the manner in which he actually posted it. That's the first crazy thing I'd seen. The second crazy thing is this story that you're about to hear right now.
So the lady answers, she goes, hello, and I go, you need to tell Scott Drew to come to Kentucky. And she goes, what? I go, Scott Drew, he's eating at your restaurant right now. You need to tell him to come to Kentucky. So I guess she doesn't know a fucking thing. She was like, so you need to talk to this person? I said, yes. She goes, what is he wearing? I go, look at the picture. He's wearing a white Baylor polo. I was like, he's wearing a white Baylor polo? And I hear her talking. She's like, is there someone named Scott here? Blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, I hear her say, someone's on the phone with you. He goes, I'm all my life, I'm not bullshitting this. Scott Drew goes, yeah, hello? And I go, Coach, we need you at Kentucky. He laughs and he goes, who is this? And I go, it's just a loyal fan, Coach. We need you up here. Sorry to bother you, but enjoy your lunch. He goes, all right, man, that's impressive. Thank you. And that's how it ended. I mean, I'm genuinely like, I can't believe this just happened. This was the best thing of all fucking time. But yeah, I genuinely.
All right, so obviously there's some language there that we'll clean up for the radio, clearly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: if you were to get that phone call as a head coach, at another program, a place that you're happy at, a place that quite frankly, you're not going to be on the hot seat anytime soon at Baylor. Baylor was absolutely disgusting of a program before he got there. When we talk about the depths of where, well, that's essentially, and someone would maybe suggest that OJ might be there now. That essentially is where the Baylor boys men's basketball program was, I should say. And do you leave that to go to a place that you got guys calling you before you're the head coach at a Mexican restaurant while you're trying to have lunch to tell you, hey, we need you in Lexington? Is that crazy, or is that just being a normal good fan?
Well, it's funny you should ask, because Scott Drew has officially passed on Kentucky's offer and will remain the head coach at Baylor. So some are saying that call is maybe the reason. They got psychopaths calling restaurants, finding them. Yeah, but listen. If I was Scott Drew, I probably would have taken the job. You would have been bankrolled to the moon. Obviously, he felt better at Baylor. I'm not sure why. This is breaking as of a minute ago.
Yeah.
So
these are reliable sources.
This is Matt Norlander. Matt Norlander is the senior writer analyst for CBS Sports.
Okay.
So
shout out him.
That's wild. That is absolutely wild. And that the restaurant went along with it.
Well, that's the craziest part about this, is that obviously the folks. This shows you how
Credit
sometimes you ever been in your in life, and we've all been there, where you take sports probably more serious than you should, and you're kind of engulfed into the sports world, and you know more than one you'd like to admit, and then you get around some folks that just don't do sports at all, and they're just confused as to what's going on. They just don't understand why it is that you care about this. That phone call makes me think that there's probably the vast majority more people that are like that than us.
Yeah.
Clearly. The idea that you have Scott Drew sitting at this time, one of the hottest names in all of college basketball, sitting in your restaurant, not even hiding who he is, by the way, wearing a literally Baylor basketball polo. And you get on the phone with somebody and you don't understand anything that's going on enough to where you actually go and get Scott Drew and say, hey, there's someone on the phone that wants to talk to you. And then ultimately, I'm sure it was a lighthearted moment there. Sure. But I did think, actually, to be fair to the UK fan,
yeah,
I actually did think that was a very good line that he used when he answered the phone. Because a lot of people, when they call someone that they think's famous, I don't know if you have any familiarity with this, but you call someone that's actually famous and you don't think that you might actually get anyone to answer, and then they finally do answer. Some would giggle off a little schoolgirl perhaps and hang up the phone real fast. I thought that his answer was actually very witty. This is a loyal UK fan. We need you in Lexington. Didn't work, but
it was a good effort. It was a hell of an effort.
What do you do now if you're the University of Kentucky? Where do you go? Where could you possibly go?
I don't know. I don't know. And the question is any coach gonna make that fan base believe in him? If you hire Scott Drew, there was a lot of people on BigBlueNation.com that were saying Scott Drew was a bum and that he wasn't going to be a very good coach. I don't know if there's any guy other than Dan Hurley, who obviously will not leave, that could appease that fan base. I'm trying to find one name, and I don't think there is. Maybe Coach K comes out of retirement?
So here's what I'm going to say. I was told last week that obviously I'm crazy, right? And I get that. Brad Stevens, many people have no clue why in the world I would bring him up. I'm going to read verbatim a text that I received.
From your sources.
From my source.
That's why we think you're crazy.
I'm going to read this verbatim. I wish I had something concrete about this. All I can tell you and take from this, you can take what it's worth. It's been about 3 years ago since the late blank. This was a person that had just passed away, that we all know, you definitely know, called me having just played a charity golf outing and had an hour-long conversation with Cal at a luncheon. Is that how you say that? Luncheon. Is that how you say luncheon? Wow.
Correct.
Now I'm an idiot, which I've always known, if we're being completely honest. Among the things that they talked about was Cal's friendship with Stevens. He showed Mark lengthy daily text threads between Cal and Stevens. Cal told him that Stevens was the heir apparent to take over for Kentucky when Cal was done, presumably going out as a winner. A lot has changed, though, in those 3 years, specifically the portal and NIL. Stevens was known to not enjoy recruiting at Butler, so I doubt he would want to return maybe in this climate, but who knows. I would expect Kentucky to at least reach out, engage his interest, given the relationship that he had with Cal in the works, in the previous works. Either way, after thinking about it, I do think Cal did Kentucky a very solid in enabling them to not have to pay the buyout. I take that for what it's worth. The idea, put it this way, the idea that Brad Stevens is never going to coach college basketball again, I know that to be a fact as not true. I think that if the right opportunity comes at the right time, he will be back coaching college basketball at some point. Maybe perhaps NIL, transfer portal, maybe that did him in to where he doesn't want to deal with that anymore. And to be honest, I think that's the fight that UK is going to fight now on their next head coach, because Billy Donovan's going to be the name that everyone's going to point to now. And guess what Billy Donovan probably doesn't want to do? He probably has been in the NBA for, 10 years now?
Yeah.
He has no interest, if I had to guess, trying to negotiate with boosters, trying to figure out NIL situations with 18-year-old kids. That all probably at some point, don't you become so successful you're just done dealing with all of that? Who do they go get now?
I don't know. If I had to guess, they might hire internally. Is that an option for them, for a school like that?
No.
You don't think so?
No. Unless Cal was like courting someone, which I don't like. They do that when like a dude retires, not when a dude leaves. No, not someone internally. UK?
Didn't they do that with Chris Mack though? Didn't they do that at Xavier?
Correct. Xavier and Kentucky are not similar
Vastly
programs.
different, but I'm
Correct.
I'm just saying.
I mean, it happened at Villanova, it happened at Duke, it happened at UNC, but all those coaches retired.
That's fair.
So like it was kind of like, hey, I'm gonna leave. This is the guy I want to replace me, kind of thing. I don't think Coach Cal was doing that.
That's fair. And then if it's not going to be that, I don't know. You're gonna have to find a big name that's going to want to deal with the madness that is the University of Kentucky. And I'd say outside of
What's the basement? What do we think the basement is?
What do you mean the basement?
What's the floor?
what do you mean?
Is it
Coach
Sean
Cal.
Miller? Is he the floor?
No, I would no.
You think it was lower?
I think it goes lower than that because I think there's a chance you're going to hire some coach that is out in a school that nobody has ever heard of, like Longwood.
You're suggesting to me
Kentucky
that
ain't hiring
Sean
someone like that.
Miller gets a phone call from the University of Kentucky right now. He's going to stay at Xavier? I mean, there's no way.
Yeah, I'm on Trace's side here.
You think but you do think that he would? I'm not trying to this isn't a
No,
belittling thing,
no.
but
I
you think Sean stays at Xavier.
If he's offered the Kentucky job, he's going to take the Kentucky job.
Well, then that's the floor. Then that's that.
Well, I don't know if that's the floor.
Okay,
I think there's a name out there. I think there's a name out there that's lower than Sean Miller that they're going to maybe try to throw an offer at.
Which would be a mistake if you're able to go get Sean Miller, then, right?
Correct.
Okay, so you're thinking they might make a mistake and get someone worse than Sean Miller.
Correct.
Listen, it's going to be interesting. And you know what? Sometimes, what's the old phrase? Thank God for unanswered prayers. Maybe this is the best thing that will happen to Kentucky. You never know. Sometimes we've talked about it before in the NFL draft. We'll segue that to here in just a moment. But sometimes in the NFL draft, it's better to just be the second pick, so you don't have to make that hard decision. You'd be like the Houston Texans and just walk right into C.J. Stroud. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if the Texans would have had the first pick, maybe they'd take Bryce Young too. I don't know if they would have, but maybe they would have. So if you're a Kentucky fan, which if you are, and you're probably one of the very few rational ones that are left, I think you could sit here and justify or maybe get excited still that there are plenty of candidates out there that can make Kentucky go to the highest level possible, which they inevitably will probably do. Outside of Gillespie, everyone else that has gone to the University of Kentucky, off the top of my head, has been relatively successful.
The updated odds, right? Scott Drew was the favorite to take the job at plus 300.
Yep.
Second best odds are Billy Donovan, Chicago
Yes.
Bulls head coach. Behind them is Tommy Lloyd from Arizona, Nate Oates from Alabama, both at 9-1. And then you get into Iowa State's TJ Otzelberger, Mark Pope, Bruce Pearl, a name that I haven't seen thrown around before, Shaka Smart. And then
get
Brad
fired at
Underwood and
Texas?
Dan Hurley at 30-1.
Dan Hurley Dan Hurley would be impossible. So I don't even know.
He hasn't said no yet.
Yeah, he did. Didn't he say no? He didn't.
I don't think
he
he said no out loud. Like, hey, I'm not going to Kentucky.
He laughed at the proposition of it. That's worse than saying no.
Yeah,
Okay.
he said, I'm not leaving a chance at a three-peat to go to Kentucky.
He said okay.
I think that was with SVP. Could be anybody. It could be anybody. I don't know.
There's
Not
so
John
many
Brand.
names that you could pluck out and say, okay, that might work, that might not work. I don't know what.
Go get their guy, Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, I was thinking Travis Steele personally.
Oh, what a shot.
He wouldn't even have to. He wouldn't even have to move. He wouldn't even have to move.
Just take a flight, take a helicopter.
All right. Before we go too far down this rabbit hole that is named coaches that probably won't end up having the University of Kentucky title next to their name, we're going to talk some NFL. The Bengals. Who should they draft? Casey, Reed. I'm sure they'll argue about something next on
We doing that?
1410 Wing AM.
Ads time.
Yeah, let's get into ads.
Let's do it, Casey.
Casey, give me your Pawnee water. I'm going to go refill it real quick. Give me it. I'm going to go refill.
Thanks.
I'm going to go refill this Pawnee water. I'll be right back.
Please do. Well, straight from across the street.
Correct.
But as he's doing that, I'm going to read not going to read. I'm going to just say it verbatim because I got to memorize the Encore Technologies ad. The Encore Technologies is a technology solutions that provides IT solutions for a data center world.
Wait a minute. Time out. You just sat there and said, I'm not going to read it. I know it verbatim. And then you just butchered. You know why? It's because you didn't start with your normal thing. Who did the sports report? Who's the sports report sponsored by?
It's sponsored by Encore Technologies. Encore Technologies provides IT solutions for a data-centered world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and
Productivity.
That's right, Trace. Productivity. Not very good at that. Visit encore.tech. The path to innovation begins here. And I don't have my bottle of water, so let's go on to the Game Time app. Game Time, download it. Use code OTB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Code OTB for $20 off your first purchase. The ticketing app, use 2 simple clicks. Get to see exactly where you're sitting at. Go get your tickets. I'm sure the Reds game tickets are probably pretty cheap right now.
Very affordable. Very affordable.
I know you were talking about getting some for like $6.
$6 yesterday. Yep, on the Game Time app, you can get them for $6. And when you're done with this read, I'll let you know where we're at today.
Yeah, and so
$1.
I would say like that's pretty great.
You
So
get one for
this is a
$1.
great time to start using that app, using that code to get the $20 off. I know I'm going to be doing that at some point very, very soon. I've just been very busy. Eventually, I'll make my way down there. I'm going to use the code OTB to get $20 off my first purchase.
Today is the day you can go to Great American Ballpark if you have been looking to go on a value. The Game Time app currently has seats in the lower bowl for all-in pricing of $7. Section 111. Now, if you want to go sit in rain, by the way, are they even going to play today?
Do we got a window?
We got a window. That's what we always talk about, our windows. Windows of opportunity.
It's gonna rain all day.
What do you think, Casey? You think the Reds will play today?
Well, they played yesterday. I guess it didn't really do what the radar was saying, or they delayed it long enough to where they could make it. I don't know. Today is like all day, right? I don't think.
It's going to be a tough situation for the grounds crew. One thing that I found out before the show started, our main man Sean Spurlock let us know that our Game Time ads we've been doing them more than a service. We only had to read the Game Time ads on Mondays of all days, on Mondays only. But you know what? I told him, I was like, yeah, it's fine.
Only on Mondays, huh?
It's only on Mondays.
Well, I mean, why not? I mean,
That's
it's
right.
our code,
we're
right?
nice
So,
people.
yeah.
And we would like for you just to download the Game Time app and use OTB. Maybe you've already done it, so tell your significant other. Maybe your dog needs to perhaps want to go down to a game, because they do that at Great American Ballpark. Our technology, before we go on the radio, our technology's been struggling today, hasn't it? It's been a fight.
My fault. It's my fault. I came
you're
in
taking
here.
the blame. You're
I
gonna take
came
the
in
blame
here.
on this?
Yeah, I came in here super late. I came in here with like 15, 20 minutes to spare, and I didn't have time to restart everything, and that's my fault. Usually, it's just simple software bug that just.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I just look up there every so often, and we're kind of like doing one of these numbers.
Yeah, it's our.
But it's not a big deal.
Trying.
It's going through the internet just fine.
Is it?
I'm assuming because
I don't think it is.
I've not seen the chat. Absolutely, be honest.
I don't know. I think it's going through the. I think it's going through the stream like this.
Oh,
as
he
well.
thinks that he thinks that it's going through the stream like that. Maybe it is. Alex is saying it's not to make you feel a little bit better.
Well, if it's not, then I feel great.
I was gonna say because
I've seen it.
the TV's been crazy today. The TV's up there. This is behind the scenes of Chatterbox here. Before we get on the radio, the TVs that we have that obviously let us know, what's in program, what's about to be in program, those types of things. I mean, when I tell you it looks like this the whole time we're doing the show, that's what it's been like. So I just kind of powered through it. I told myself mentally, we're not gonna let that bother us.
It's I don't know what it is. It's just a software bug. Audio's fine. I know that because whenever I do the podcast, it's been great. So usually it's just a simple restart the computer. Everything's fine. But I didn't have time to do that today. So sorry, everyone. It's my bad. I won't be late ever again.
Yeah,
I would love to take the odds of that. I would love to take the odds.
We're not on the
of
radio
that.
right now, right? So
No,
this
we're not on
is
the
a
radio
safe
right now.
space.
Speaking of which, before you say that, please, I gotta have to say this before I
Okay.
forget, because otherwise we might get in trouble. Casey, can you please remember? Did you write down all the parts?
Yes.
of
I have
Yes,
all
I
your
got
curse
it, yeah.
words, all your profanity.
Mine.
That was your video,
Yeah,
Oh,
that
you're
was
saying
on.
it's on-
here.
and they were dropping Queen Mothers in there.
Well, that's
Twice.
UK fans. Those are UK fans. I mean, that's just out in there. That's them out in the wild.
Yeah, it is. That is true. By the way, that entire basketball segment, my brain was absolutely gone. I've had to. It was a code yellow situation.
Oh, really?
I had to urinate so bad. I texted Casey with about 15 minutes left. About 15 minutes ago, I'm like, Casey, I gotta go. I mean, you were asking me about Coach Cal, and I was giving answers, but I want to make something very clear. I was not thinking about those answers. I was just focused on my task to run across the building. But yeah, that was a fight. That was the fight of my life, and I won it. So shout out to me. How did that transition back to radio?
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
We got.
Casey, do you have anything to add?
I was just gonna say we got 2 more segments. So
2 more segments, and we're going to go
2 more
5
segments.
seconds, and we're going to go, baby.
All right, welcome back into 1410 Wing AM, your home to Miami Valley Sports Talk. Kenner and Kev, they'll be on, they won't be on today. They won't be on today because of the Reds are on the radio.
I just realized.
The Reds are
Neither
on
are we.
the
Are we?
radio. We might not be on either. We don't know. That's the best thing.
I just realized we're
Oh
not on the
my
radio.
gosh. We're not on the radio.
We're not on the
today.
radio.
Turns out it's all good.
What a day to not have FCC.
We're not on the radio.
Good for us.
They told us
Good
that
for
yesterday,
us. What a shitstorm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Everybody curse now.
Yeah.
Lindsay, say one.
Really?
Yeah, say it.
Shit.
Yeah.
We weren't serious. You weren't allowed cussing.
Very nice. Very good job. This is the best thing about Chatterbox is that there's some people out there that actually think that we are very well put together. We are very prepared. We know what we're doing. We have no clue what we're doing.
What a great show
People
to
are
not
like,
let.
you guys are on. First of all, can we
great.
now
This
that
is
we're not on the
fantastic.
radio, can we
Not
get
on
this
the
out
radio.
of the way?
Yeah.
Like over the course, you have family, friends, people that kind of they fringe know what you do. They kind of pay attention little by little. It's like you go to Thanksgiving and they're like. They're like, Trace, how's your business going? Is the store doing well? And I'm like, with all due respect, my man Sean out here and his wife, they kind of handle the store. I've not been in the store what seems to be maybe 6 months from time to time. And I'm just like, yeah, it's going great. It's like, you still doing the sports thing? It's like, yeah, we still do the sports thing. But the craziest thing I was going to say of all of that was that you get to a spot where there are some people, though, they're like, wow, you guys are on the radio. Like, we've made it now. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, with all due respect, I mean, I love the radio. I'm thankful that we're on it. But there's some other things that we do pretty well, too, that kind of garner, I don't know, like TikTok gets 500,000 views on some video, and then all of a sudden it's like, the 3,000 that are listening Dayton now, they have validated us. We have made it now.
We've got it. We've got it. It just, what it gives us? It's for, and I've had this debate with and this is no knock on my grandparents. I love my grandparents very much. But I remember being like, yeah, we do a show every day on YouTube. They're like, oh, internet show? What is that? And I'm like, oh, well, we do a show on the internet same way everybody else does it. And then, like, if I was on the radio, they'd be like, oh, you're on the radio? We got to put that on. And it's just something in people's brains where, like, the radio is, like, the mecca of broadcasting. Because that's what it was. It started as that.
My dad did the same thing.
Yeah, it's
He's
just...
like, that's awesome.
it's just how it is. But I worked in the radio. Many people don't know that about me, but I did. And I will say it is somewhat cool saying you're like, hey, I'm on the radio. I've listened to the radio my entire life. And you can say you're a part of that family. So that's the cool part. How many people actually listen? Reed and I go over these numbers frequently. I'm not going to say we lap them, but I think we do very well for ourselves on YouTube.
I think you're being very nice. I think you're being very nice.
We get as much unique viewership as like certain radio stations in Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think it's scary. I don't think it's crazy to say that if you go through the podcast, the YouTube, and you add up the unique viewership, it does fine. It does more than fine. I don't. It is what it is. It's just something that you grew up with. It's because it's something that was a legacy, it makes it seem like it's a bigger deal.
Have you ever lied to someone about like what your profession is because you just don't?
No, are you lying to people? Are you scared to say what you do?
No.
What's the worst thing you've ever done? What's the biggest lie you've ever said about what you do?
When I go like on vacations and stuff like that, and people like you meet people and they're like, "Hey, what do you do?" Instead of explaining to them what I do, like having the long well, I do this podcast and we do this sports and I also broadcast games and I set up these interview high school kids and then I run this board. Instead of explaining all that, I just go, I'm an insurance underwriter. I literally, because you never get a follow-up question there. They never like, what's that entail? Like, it's just like, hey, I'm an insurance. No, for all the insurance underwriters, great. It's a great business to be in and everything like that. But it's, I don't want to explain what my job is. So a lot of times I just go like, yeah, I'm in sales. What do you sell? That's a good question. I don't have a follow-up for that one.
Well, right now, nothing.
Right.
I'm on unemployment. So thank you for paying into that.
Right.
Yeah, it's a tough answer. You know, you have the random people that ask you how you're doing. I've always wondered though. There's just some pressure that comes with it. It's like, what happens if these businesses fail that I've been a part of? It's like you go to Thanksgiving. I might do it now that I feel relatively confident that we're doing somewhat okay enough to maybe make the joke. But I've always thought about when someone would be like, "Hey, how you doing? How's the business going?" I'm like, "Yeah, we just went under." I mean, what kind of answer is it?
Not good.
What do you do? How do you come back from that if you're just the uncle of
No, there's no way.
You know what I hate more than anything is when people ask me if this is my full-time thing.
Yeah,
they're
I
like,
get that
"Are you
too.
still doing that Chatterbox thing?" Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? Like, what do you do for like your job? And I'm like, the Chatterbox thing. That's my job. They're like, "Oh, it must be a lot of downtime," and I was like, "Not really."
Yeah, not for Reed.
Yeah,
Not really.
yeah, I know. That is the and listen, by all accounts, I am very, very appreciative and love everything that we get to do. But it is, like yesterday, I was thinking of just like all of the logistics that went into the Nebraska, and then this week. It's just been a busy week, and it's like, you know what? Sometimes, I wish I was the lawnmower man. Sometimes I could just go cut some grass. If I could just go home, I could watch maybe 6 innings of the Reds. Like last night, I had no interest in watching the last 4 innings. The only reason I watched it is if something happened that I needed to talk about. But otherwise, I was just watching that out of pure hate, which I would love to get to a position where maybe I don't have to do from time to time. But you know what? That is what it is. It's what we signed up for, and I'm very appreciative that we get to do it.
The one thing that I am jealous of for like my wife, she's a hairstylist. When she leaves work, it's done. Like she doesn't have to think about it till she goes to work tomorrow.
Correct.
A lot of the times here with Chet, like I'm thinking about like, hey, I got to do this tomorrow. I got to get this. I got to get these people aligned and stuff like that. A day like yesterday, I did nothing. Here at work, I stayed here till 5, and I'm telling my boss this. After the show was done, I did nothing. I sat here and I bullcrapped, and I felt bad, and I was like, hey, like I did absolutely nothing for the final 4 hours of work today. You know what, though? I earned that. Like at times you're just like, you know what? We work a lot. Work a lot of weekends
Correct.
here. Sometimes on a Wednesday, You get to just do nothing for a couple hours
Yeah.
and just bull crap with the boys. So
That's not. We've never counted hours here. There's no reason to count hours. You got to do your job. If you do your job, then you probably worked the amount of time you needed to work. So that's that.
Right.
Speaking of time, let's talk about the NFL draft. It's coming up. What, we got 2 weeks? How close are we on? We on a countdown?
I mean, it is. I think probably going to start at 8. Probably 7:30. So I mean,
Are you talking about the time as in the time the
well,
actual
you said-
draft
you
starts?
said-
Casey,
from
what
the
in
day.
the absolute
Whoa,
hell are
no,
you
no,
talking
time
about?
out, time out,
Casey.
time
I asked,
out.
when
No,
is this
no,
draft?
no,
About
no,
2 weeks?
no.
You said about 6:30,
No,
7:30?
no. You already asked me this question. I said 14 days, 2 weeks. It's exactly 2 weeks, 14 days. It's 14 days away. And now you're asking me again, so I thought you meant the actual time, the actual countdown. So I started trying to do the math.
So wait
in
a
my
minute.
head.
Your brain thought that since you told me yesterday how many days it was
I
to go.
told you on this show not even an hour ago.
You did?
Yes.
My brain is gone. It is genuinely gone. I have to go to a meeting today at 1:30 in Westchester, and my biggest fear is that I'm going to get there and I'm going to sit down and I'm like, what do you want to talk about?
What we got?
What we got? You started off. You steer this ship, because otherwise this ship isn't going to get steered. It's done sank to the bottom of the ocean, brother. I just had to watch the Reds play 9 innings of baseball game in the most piss poor rain you've ever seen. I then turn around at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm arguing with people of whether or not Stuart Fairchild should hit instead of Ellie De La Cruz in a hypothetical situation of the bottom of the ninth. That led to me sitting on the internet trying to figure out what the splits were of these two players. At 1:30 in the morning, I finally decided, you know what? I probably should just go to bed. I'm supposed to do a show tomorrow. When I tell you I did zero prep, I mean zero prep. I walked
We're
in
being
here
incredibly
at I walked
transparent
in here at
today.
9:40. I walked in here at 9:40 today. Tired. I go over there. Sean calls me over there. I'm staring at the computer screen. I can barely read half the stuff he's saying. I was going to agree with whatever Sean said, no matter what he said. He could have said, "Hey, we're gonna shut the companies down in 2 weeks." I'd be like, "Oh, okay, all right." That's where I was at. I walk in here. I look at Elliot. I said, "What are we talking about?" I said, "David Bell. Put him on the rundown. Put him on the rundown. We'll figure something out." And then all of a sudden I said, I did see that crazy phone call. To be fair, I didn't know it had that much profanity in it. And then 3/4 through the show, we find out that we just took 6 ad breaks for the radio that we didn't have to do a single one of. That's been the day today so far for me.
That's a hilarious day. What a spec. And it's Lindsay's last
It's
day.
11:30 and it's Lindsay's last day, which means we got to figure out. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This is the God's honest truth. We've already had a pretty good day in Super Chats, yeah?
Very good day.
Very good day in Super Chats. So we're gonna match the Super Chats. We're gonna match the Super Chats, and we're gonna do what every other person does when they don't know what to get somebody for a birthday.
Yeah.
You know, the grandpa that's just not really all checked in on the kids
Yeah.
all that often, and that's okay if you're that person. I don't have any, but you don't know what little Johnny wants. You don't know.
Correct.
You don't know he's into Legos or if he's into basketballs or who
Correct.
knows, he might be into Barbies, whatever it may be. Point is that you ultimately just bring what? Cash. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do for Lindsay today. We're just gonna give her cash. We're just gonna say, "Hey, Lindsay, here's some cash on the way out the door." We're gonna match whatever Super Chats we get.
I think
As
we're
of
going to
right
victory.
now,
Go ahead. Sorry.
as of right now, we're at $43.78.
There you go.
How about
So
that?
means what's the math on that? Lindsay, what's the math on that? What do you own? What do you deserve?
What did you say?
87
87?
bucks, a little over.
Sure.
You're not a math major, right?
God, no. That is the worst subject for me is math.
Okay. All right. Well, you fit right in around here.
Well, there's a chance we're going to Gina's for lunch today.
Okay. By the way, is that the funeral? Is like if we were to die, then it's somebody has to
On
go to
Chatterbox's
Gina's.
last day,
Somebody has
we'll
to go
rent
to
out
Gina's.
the basement. And
Yeah.
We'll just have a little Gina's.
Yeah, that's my goal. That's how I want to be sent out. That's how I want to be sent out of this company if I ever leave. I want Gina's on my last day. I want to feast. I want to get whatever Paul got on it. Paul only gets noodles or something. I want to get what Paul
He
gets.
gets the Alfredo, right?
He got
Yeah.
Alfredo every day.
Big C's backing you up. He said that he can confirm that Casey said the date an hour ago. That's on me. I did not know that. Mark Fetter says match $5. So you just got $10 from Mark. Shout out to Mark.
Big C.
Yeah, some are saying Jacob didn't get the money, the financial.
Well,
match.
Jacob will get taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just saying. What
Inside baseball.
So I asked the question of when the draft was, and that turned into a 10-minute conversation of God knows what. The good news is that on a Thursday edition where they could be watching the Masters, we got record numbers in here on a Thursday.
That's right.
Maybe we shouldn't talk sports. Maybe we should just come on here.
Brian's here. We can do
Michael!
Michael!
Wow,
Look at
We
Lindsay.
summoned him.
We need a close up of Lindsay over there. So every time there's a snooper chat, you just need to
Nathan
snap it to her
Hines!
because Lindsay right there, she just got a little shocked, if we're being honest. He's gonna do it in real time. This is a bold move. Bold move by Casey. Casey, you can throw it up here and you can get it all situated. And then next time there's a super chat, we'll do that. Nathan Hines
hopping in here. Now it feels like we're doing like a telethon.
Yeah, we are doing a telethon. We are doing a telethon. Lindsay, you have anything to say to these people?
Thank you. This is crazy. Yeah, I don't really know what to say. I wasn't really expecting to get anything, but just happy to be here.
I was the only one to wear. Lindsay got us all presents.
Yes.
Now zoom out.
Now you're gonna have to. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, this is a conundrum here.
He's in a conundrum, but what he's
'Cause the
going to end
camera's
up
not
doing,
doing
he's going
well.
to figure it out.
Well,
Casey
you guys-
McAllister will fill it. We'll figure it out if you give him enough time.
We got this little intern. We got these coffee mugs. I think.
Yeah,
me and
what is
Trace-
that?
Me and Trace are the only ones who drank coffee in the room, but Lindsay got us coffee mug. Says intern Lindsay on it.
Yes.
She actually got me a coffee mug originally that said Queen Lindsay.
Oh.
She then
Wow.
took it back.
Why?
Because it was for my dad. My dad wanted one. I didn't actually put Queen Lindsay for any of you guys.
So yeah, we got
Understood.
intern Lindsay, and then she got me a Cubs City Connect T-shirt, and she got you guys all T-shirts, but I'm the only one that respects the gift that Lindsay got for us, and I wore it today on her.
I
last day.
wore her shirt last night on the show.
There you go.
I don't know if you know that.
Ellie Rue, did you wear? No.
I did not.
Casey's
Yeah, I
gift
got mine.
hasn't even left the office.
I got mine still.
Is the tag still on it?
Yeah, it's still on there.
I ripped the price off.
By the
though.
way, is that the same like shirt that I got? Because my shirt was like incredibly comfortable. I'm just being honest.
No,
Like,
this
it was
is-
very, very, very nice.
This is a very
no,
good T-shirt.
theirs are from different places. Yours is from a different place.
No. So
Look
it's
at all these
different
super
places.
chats.
Look,
These super
Eric,
chats are
Eric
piling
Licklider.
in. We're gonna go broke. We're gonna go broke.
Sean says he's looking for a shirt and mug and he can't find it.
His shirt is in my car. He hasn't been here the past 2 days, but I do have a shirt.
So
throwing him under the bus. Hasn't been here the last 2 days.
right.
He's just taking time off work. That's Sean. I'll tell you.
Jack says a super chat. Are we going to have Tracy Jones on the show this year? I really enjoyed him last year. I would say probably not.
I mean,
Maybe.
I'll reach out. The problem with Tracy is he's busy, very busy, and he genuinely was. He thanked us. He loved what we were doing, and in order for him to come on the show, financially, it just at some point, the math doesn't math, and then you got to figure out something to make people happy, and otherwise, if you're a busy person and you don't have time to do it, then there's only so much one can do.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Oh my goodness! Big C with a $20, Rick with a $10, then Rick S with a $50 super chat.
Look at this.
This is exciting.
Lindsay.
This is like a graduation party. You just keep getting
is.
cash. I mean, this is great for you. Man,
Wow.
keep it coming, guys.
Eric with the $10 super chat. Mark Fetters with a $5 Lindsay wellness check.
All right,
Would
so
give
Lindsay,
you one-
let's we might as well just end this show in regards. all right, that's over. Show's over.
Telethon's over.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. No, in all seriousness, this is fantastic. Kudos to Lindsay. But Lindsay said something the other day that has nothing to do with sports talk. That she doesn't believe me. I'm curious. We have 4 other gentlemen in the room. I'm curious of your take on this. So she had suggested she was going to go hang out with her friends. I was like, okay, you're going to go hang out with your friends, blah, 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 blah. She has a guy friend that she's had since she was 5 years old.
Oh.
I'm just saying, hypothetically, and I'm not saying that this is the only situation of this. She said, he's just a friend. I was like, okay, that's fine. I was like, does he know that he's just a friend? And she said, I think he knows. Yeah, he's just a friend. I was like, okay. I have a question to the room. We'll go around one by one. I'll share, I guess, my sentiments last. Do you think that there's guys that have girls as friends genuinely? Or do you think that they're hoping that, they go home at night and they hope for, at some point that friendship turns
Yes,
to
I
a
believe that
relationship.
there can be cross-gender platonic relationships. I do think that that will always be like somewhere nudged in the back of the mind of at least one of the parties.
So you're saying that it's not 100% like.
I think you could be platonic about it, but like,
Yes,
yeah,
I'm not-
I think it's
okay,
I think it's always in the back. Like, yeah, there's always that.
Can we
in the
make that a
mind.
chat poll question of the day?
Yeah.
I feel like we should.
I feel like it's different for girls and guys. Girls don't think about getting with their guy friends. I think guys' brains work differently than girls.
It's possible, but that's
There's
the
no
question
doubt
of the
about
day.
that.
That's the
Yeah.
point.
My
That's
brain-
my point. Is that that's my point. Is like, I guess I'll share my sentiment, my answer now, real fast. But we'll give it over to Elliot. Is like, I don't think that you could have a super long-term relationship with a girl and it not have some semblance, whether maybe it's small, maybe it's not, some semblance of a desire that would turn into a relationship.
Well, there's never been one there for me, at least. And
Well, I'm not saying it's for you. I'm just saying that I wouldn't be naive.
It's
to
all.
that.
It's also like I have several friends that are girls now, but it's easy to do that when you're already romantically involved with someone else. Then it becomes a lot easier for single guys. Then it's a little tougher. I don't know. I mean, I hope that you can have platonic relationships without.
I
there
like to
being-
think I do. So
Right,
yeah, I would
right.
say the answer is yes for me.
yeah, like Elliot, we're friends. Never
Sure.
thought behind there. Friends with everyone in here.
Okay, friends. The term "friends" right now is being thrown around very loosely for me.
Elliot made
that
it
the
very
only-
clear that we are not friends yesterday. He made that very clear.
I'm
all
saying
coworkers.
if you consider someone like a good friend, best friend, whatever term you like to use, I have a hard time believing that one of the parties isn't hoping for something other than just a friendship. That's all.
I disagree. Just because I have a friend named Olivia. I think we went to a Notre Dame game this week. This past year went to a Notre Dame game. It's a long ass drive. Then she's a friend. That's all.
Oh man, does Olivia watch this show?
No, zero chance.
So she has no chance of hearing you say that.
Zero. Correct.
All right, good.
Well, she might.
I think that's a good
clip
thing.
it up.
I think that's a good
But
thing.
I'm pretty sure that
I'd hate
I'm pretty
to
sure,
have. I'd hate
I'm
to
pretty-
have a heart.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're all in
incredibly
agreement
broken
here.
right now.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're all in agreement.
Casey,
What?
do you think that's a possibility?
Having a super long platonic relationship with a girl?
And then I guess on top of that, you'd have a relationship, I would assume, at some point with your significant other, to where, yeah.
I think it's more plausible when it's with if your significant other is friends with that friend as well. I think it's a lot easier that
When
way.
you have a significant
your
other, yeah, it's very- yeah,
when your
it's
significant other is friends with someone else.
Okay,
it's
would
much
you
easier
would
to
you
do
would
that
you
way.
think that they're so then I guess the question I would have would be, are you allowed to go hang out with that other person since they're just your friend? Could you go to movies together?
Like by just the two of us?
Yeah.
I went to Notre Dame with them, so yeah.
I'm asking
I've
Casey
hung-
because
I've
I
hung
know
out
his
with-
answer is the same as
Prob-
mine.
Probably not.
Thank
no.
you.
I've hung out with Mariana's friends frequently. Just us. All the time. We go do stuff.
I just don't see it. But I could be. I'm not saying that there's a. You said earlier there's an exception to every rule.
Sure.
I certainly think that's fair. But I have a hard time believing that if somebody goes out of their way to keep a friendship, they have a reason.
Yeah, I just never had one growing up like that. Like you guys have had relationships, whether that was like college or just high school or whatnot. I just never had a close girlfriend like that.
You know what? When I hang out with Mariana's friends, because she was a couple years below me, so like we have different friend groups. When I hang out with her friends, I prefer to sit with the girls and gossip and talk. I like getting in on
You're a
that stuff.
gossiper.
Yeah, listen, I don't like gossiping, but like when it's about people like I don't care or like I don't like it when I know the person or care, but like if they're just spilling some tea on their coworkers, I'm like, yeah, let me know. Let me get in on the 411. I'd rather hang out with the girls and the guys in those scenarios. Also, her guy friends exclusively talk about golf, which I just don't have a whole lot of interest in. Like, I don't watch golf. I don't play a whole lot of golf anymore. So, like, I just got nothing for those conversations.
So your wife would be completely cool with hanging out with the girlfriends that you're mentioning.
100%. If I said, hey,
you're like, hey, me and
Kylie are gonna go get a drink. Yeah, 100%. She'd be cool with that.
You're gonna go bowl together.
Yeah, 100%.
Going to the movies.
100%.
Damn, I don't know. Maybe you're right. I don't know. I have a hard time believing that.
Reds game postponed. Darn it.
Didn't see that coming.
Speaking of golf,
Postponed means canceled, right? Like not delayed. It's not delayed. You said it's postponed, right?
Oh, that's Kirby. Is it moved?
Can we get a very clear it's been canceled basically, right?
Yeah, Kirby. Is it delayed or postponed?
here we go.
Molly suggested in the chat that her best friend is married. I would like. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would like to talk to the person that you're best friends with, wife, and see how they feel about that.
Oh, so it's moved to August 30th. So this show is officially on the radio. Nah.
No,
It's too late for it now.
no. If it is on the radio, then I will just tell you that's the best segment in the history of 1410 Wing AM.
Yeah, it's not on the radio though. That would be a hell of an edit. I mean, that's a hell of an edit. Unfortunately,
from
this
us.
show will not be.
So
on
to
the
be
radio.
clear here, before we have to do a real serious sports segment, you're suggesting to me that we were told yesterday by the bosses to be at 1410 that we were not on the radio.
Yeah, I mean, I should have probably
Let us know
remembered
that.
that one. Like they said, they signed off yesterday on their live stream saying that we would not be on the radio, and they wouldn't be on the radio because the Reds were on the radio.
Now I will
And-
say,
which also means they won't be on YouTube either. So if you're looking forward to that show later on today, I don't think they're going to be on.
well, this is the thing with radio though. I'm not sure how they're going to do it because usually if it's a delay or something like that, they did the Jim Day podcast. Or they fill time one way or another. I don't know what the plan is.
I think it's simply they just turned the spigot on that is ESPN National Radio.
Or that's probably it too. That's
Yeah.
probably it too.
I think that's the safe answer.
I think that's probably it too.
This poll right now, though, last I checked, it is 60-40, no and yes.
We got some more super chats, right?
The crazy thing is that poll is 60-40, and then you said yes, correct?
So yeah, you can. Have
You
platonic
said yes.
Platonic relationship.
You said yes, and you danced around it a little bit.
He said no, and you said
I
no.
said no.
I
So
said
it's 60-40.
no. The opposite direction, though.
Correct.
Super chats. Go ahead, Reed.
Mark or Big C with I don't think we got to Big C's. Lindsay getting her flowers today. Congratulations. RM, got to support other women working in sports media. Best wishes, Lindsay. Shout out RM. Mark Fetters, $10 super chat. He was always checking in on you. Mm-hmm. He said,
Shout out,
Lindsay,
Mark.
we're going to miss you. Derby Stardom. Lindsay is the Phyllis George of Chatterbox, guys. Please promise to bring her back on the show when the Reds and Bengals go to the World Series and Super Bowl.
Sure.
Yes, Lindsay, objectively, I hope the Steelers never win another game in their history of mankind.
Well, I hope the Bengals can beat the Steelers once. So.
Yeah.
Wow.
We take back all these super chats. The Real Spirit Cat, 1999, my first and last super chat, just for Lindsay. So shout out Spirit Cat.
Shout out Spirit Cat too. He made us some golf markers that I need to bring in here. I've had them sitting on my desk at home for, quite frankly, I think like 6 months. So shame on me for that.
Speaking of golf, we have a leaderboard. As of right now, we're through a couple holes.
Yeah, that's called big league transition. That's why you were on the radio.
I'm glad you remembered. Van Rooyen, he is in first place.
Who?
Van Rooyen.
Hey, speaking of which, not to cut you off,
Sure.
have you ever seen the guy that does the Masters leaderboard?
No.
Oh.
I've seen like the guy on the actual card thing with the.
The guy that does it in the studio?
Oh no.
We'll make that the cherry on top.
Okay. Do you have that?
I'll work on it.
So here are there's four guys at -1. Van Rooyen is one of them. Moore is one of them. I'm trying to find out which Moore this is. Taylor Moore. And we have Danny Willett, former Masters champ through 2. He is 1 under par. And a guy who said that this is more like a par 62 is 1 under par. Bryson DeChambeau. Now, Casey, if it's okay with you, I did send you a couple things. I'm going to play the one of Brooks Koepka, if that's okay, on X.com. Yep, Casey's already got it because he's a professional. So this was, and I think the reporter knew what he was asking. I think he was referencing what DeChambeau did a couple years ago, saying how the course plays a par 62 for him because Bryson was big and strong and he hit it real far. And he asked Brooks here, do you think the course record being a 59 can be set here at Augusta? And this is what Brooks had to say.
It sounds like the course is already pretty dialed this week, but under softer or sort of optimal scoring conditions, do you think 59 is obtainable on this golf course?
Have you played here?
Not yet.
Yeah, I could tell by the question.
Augusta, it's a bear. It's a bear for most golfers out there. Now this was another video, Casey. It's that little child. I was sent this yesterday on X.com by my boss Trace Fowler as I was trying to go to bed. And I'm taking ricochet shots from all around the internet, and one came from my boss, and he said this reminded him of myself at Houston Woods on the 16th hole of the course. This is Tommy Fleetwood's son.
Yes.
Didn't quite get there, but I'll tell you what, you give that kid 9 years, who knows what he can do.
Yeah, it's almost like his genetics might give him a puncher's chance.
Yeah, or the financial being. I do have this, too, where you talked about Coach K, and that was the segment where I had to pee really bad. I was going to play it, Casey. Can we get the Arizona Razorbacks? Yeah, that's the one. And you're going to hear this Arizona fan base just go nuts. These people are crazy.
Razorback fans, let's stand up and call those hogs!
It's like a cult.
It's a cult.
It's like a cult they got going over there in Arkansas. But good for Coach Cal. Him and the Chicken Tender Boys will get something good. Is there anything else I said that was noteworthy? I did have a cherry on top. It's a Mike Leake cherry on top. I don't know if you want to do that.
We'll get to that in just a second. Okay. I had sent Casey over. For those that have not seen it, there's a Masters update after the first day from this guy named Chris Vernon. And you should check it out every year. This was last year's version. And I don't know, to be honest right now, I don't know the language. Not I got a chance to vet it out. So to be fair to you, I will just say if you are very, very offended by any language, I don't know what's about to happen on this.
Ooh, I love this.
But it is funny, and I think that you will enjoy it, and I think it's the right time of year to show it. So here's Chris Vernon, Masters update from last year. His update for this year probably coming relatively soon.
2 under, and that's what's going on at Augusta. Woo! Screw your Peloton! Screw your Peloton! Screw your Peloton! Shane Lowry ain't riding a bike. Nope. Yo, we drinking a pint, and that's what's going on at Augusta. Woo! It's going on at Augusta. Woo! Seamus Power 2 under. Woo! Woo! Seamus Power 2 under. Power. Ooh, Cameron look young. Yo. Ooh, Cameron look young. Watch it, Cougars. Cameron Young is 2 under. Woo. And that's what's going on at Augusta. Woo. Oh, hell. Oh, hell. Oh, hell. Brooks kept it 2 under. Brooks kept it 2 under. Genesis on the ground! Yeah!
What the hell is
Genesis going ham!
What is this?
So this guy started this a few years ago. I think he does a radio show around probably this time slot, maybe the noon time slot, and he just started giving a Masters update on what the leaderboard looked like after day one, and it slowly morphed into that. They got costumes, they got outfits, and they just go off the rails. They have fun, and I thought it was funny. So if you'd like to check that out, his name's Chris Vernon, and I'm sure you can punch in Masters Update. It'll be all over the internet here in probably a short few hours because he's got a lot of big-time personalities now that have fallen in love with his 1 day's worth of work a year. What's the guy that does the Little League World Series and then turns around and does the the College World Series?
I don't know.
Is it Peterson or something along those lines?
I'll look it up.
Anyways, it reminds me of him. The guy comes out of the hibernation, does like 3 weeks worth of work in baseball, and then he goes back into hibernation. You never hear from him again. It's kind of like that guy.
Does he only do Waka Flocka mixes, or is
maybe?
I'm
not sure.
Like a T-Pain or something else next? Don't know.
Can't say that I know. Can't say that I know. Unfortunately for me, that I'm not cultured in that regard, Casey. I am not cultured all that often. I think the biggest disappointment that everybody always knows or finds out about me is anytime they ask me about some movie that I've watched, my answer inevitably is I've never watched it. Every single time. So. Cherry on top.
Cherry on top.
Presented by
United Dairy Farmers.
You're doing a great job, Elliot.
The farmers of United Dairy.
Yeah.
This dairy is united.
I love when things are united. Specifically states.
The Reds are full of rookies, young guys. This is a guy that was a rookie and a young guy. He came up through the minor leagues, but didn't play a single game in the minor leagues. I think that's always a cool story. So shout out to Mike Leake. This was the debut of his first game on this day. This is your cherry on top. I remember Mike Leake. Most people remember Mike Leake from when he entered a Gap and stole all the shirts, but I remember him for being a decent pitcher. I don't think there was a better number 3, number 4 pitcher in a rotation than Mike Leake. He was consistent. You knew what you were getting every single night, and he could hit. He could hit a baseball. One of the few Reds pitchers that A, got the opportunity to hit, and B, hit pretty consistently, I'd say. Him, Micah Owings was another guy that hit well.
He did.
Michael Lorenzen, obviously, we remember a couple of his big home runs. So yeah, I love Mike Leake. I wish Mike Leake the best.
Yep. No doubt about it.
You know the last player to make the majors without playing any professional baseball beforehand? Mike Leake's the second most recent. The other is that lefty from the White Sox, Garrett Crochet.
Yes, that's right.
Garrett Crochet. Xavier Nady's the last hitter to do it.
Not a bad player, Xavier Nady.
He was a very good player.
Not a bad player at all. That is going to do it for this show. Now, we come your way every single day from 10A to 12P. Now, you heard what he said on the back end of that, 12P-ish. That's today. You enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Try to stay dry out there. It's going to be very, very, very what seems to be kind of cold and gross outside in the Miami Valley and also the Cincinnati area. We'll just call it Southwest Ohio. How about that? But there's something that's on TV that you should try to enjoy. If you have never watched the Masters and you can just force yourself to watch it maybe long enough to start to understand the holes and where you need to try to land shots, it becomes very, very, very intriguing, and I enjoy it. So for the next 4 days, I'm going to spend way too much time watching golf. I'm also going to try to get prepared for this 1:30 meeting so I don't look like an absolute idiot, although I know that I am, because I've been told on X.com that I am plenty of times, and if it's on X.com, it is 100% true. Lindsay, the floor is yours. Right now, I don't know if you said you're not very good at math, but you're up there. I don't know off the top of my head where we're at, but you got a lot of money here. Any final parting thoughts here as we exit
what is the final
this
number,
lovely
Casey?
show?
The final number, if I can
In
pull this
chats.
up, we had $247.92 in chat revenue. So if we double that, that's roughly
Close to 500.
close to 500.
Okay.
We'll just say it's 500.
Fair enough.
My God.
Lindsay?
What about that?
Lindsay?
Well, first, just want to say thank you for the chats and you guys doubling it. And I also just want to say how good of a time I have had here. And everyone in this room and in the chat accepted me right away, which is nice and kind of can be scary coming into a field where, like, you are kind of the youngest and the only woman and stuff like that in the sports field. So it's It was nice, and everyone in the chat has always been nice to me. And yeah, I don't know. It's probably the best experience I would have wanted for my internship, and yeah. So.
That's right.
Okay. Well,
Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you.
Yeah.
We never asked you to go
Thank
get
you, Lindsay.
coffee. We never asked you to go get coffee and do all the stupid intern stuff. So we didn't do hazing around here. Not a big hazing company.
Yeah, that's not what we are. I
not
would have
what we
quit long ago.
Yeah. So
The hazing for me would have been short.
I do appreciate your
I haze
sentiments,
Kirby
Casey.
a little bit.
Or Lindsay, I do appreciate your
Sean
sentiments.
Connor's hazing us, maybe.
And I know that we say this all the time, but when you're tired and you're like, I got to do a show today, and you come in here and you see all the people in the chat and they're having fun, it's a big pick-me-up. It is a big pick-me-up. So it is very nice to see all of you be so loyal to us. And I don't take for granted our listenership, viewership. When things changed, right? There was a dramatic change that happened. It could have gone one of two ways. It could have clearly gone the way that, nobody really cares about Chatterbox Sports outside of maybe what Tom has to say, and that's just not been the case, which is very, very, very encouraging, and we're very thankful that you continue to support us. You chat every day, and we're going to hope to be a large part of your day moving forward, and that would be tomorrow, because we do the show every single day, Monday through Friday from 10 to 12
P.
which means we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.
They want Lindsay to say shit one more time. Say it, Lindsay, quick.
Shit.